What's going on, everybody? It is your brother in the struggle, Chris, and I am here with somebody very special who comes to us from the Reboot implementation group. We are here with Rory today. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, good.
Thank you so much for taking the time and making the time. Straight up, I am very curious as to how you first found the implementation group to begin with.
Yeah, I recognized for a long time I was struggling and then wanted to do something about it. I was listening to a lot of podcasts at the time. So I just looked up like porn addiction podcasts, and there was a few on there that I listened to a little bit and it didn't really resonate with me. But then I heard JK and I was like, oh, I like this. This fits with me. I like his style. I like the no nonsense stuff. Yeah. So then that's how it started, just listening to a lot of the podcasts. And then, just making the decision one day to go for it.
Very cool. So you found out about JK and about the program through the podcast.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So when you were branching out and trying to find different podcasts to get more inspiration or motivation behind quitting porn addiction, if you don't mind sharing, like what were some of the behaviors that you were dealing with at the time?
Oh, just like out of control. Yeah, out of control behavior for sure. Yeah, like it was affecting. I started realizing how porn was affecting me and how much time it was taking away and how much it was stealing from the life that I wanted. And so then it was just like, actually, this is to back it up a little bit. I downloaded TikTok, and the TikTok algorithm eventually figures you out. And a lot of the stuff with self-motivation and becoming a better person and leveling up and all that sort of stuff. And so I started being influenced by that and going, yeah, it's my time. What am I doing here? If I'm just wasting it. What's one of my biggest hurdles? Oh, that's porn. And then it started going. And as I've listened to JK and some of the TikTok content creators and stuff, and and then realized a lot of things were just commonplace because it was going on for so long that I started realizing like, oh, I haven't pursued school because my time and brain power are all being taken up. And they were slow realizations, but I guess that's how I work. But so that's where I was at. And then as I recognized things more and more, it just became way more apparent. And then it's okay, I got to do something. And
Yeah, no, 100%. Thank you for sharing that. So take me from like the moment when you're finding inspirational stuff on TikTok, but you decided to join the program like through this particular podcast. It was like, all right, who's this JK guy? I like his no nonsense stuff. Like he seems to just cut out the fat and just get right to the point, right? So you join the group. What was your experience like? Figure within like your first month or so, you're getting acclimated with the modules and the group and the tools. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was great because that's the first time where I had like when you're starting to work out and you go to the gym and you're like, okay, maybe I should do bench press. Maybe I should do this. And I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just doing stuff. And then with JK, it's like having a workout plan. You go there, you're doing whatever, you're doing chest and arms today. Okay, and I have it all planned out. This is how I do it. I know that this program works, and just trust the process. And so it was a lot of stress off because I didn't have to really think about what I was doing. I just had to do it. And then the thinking obviously was baked into the system, but I didn't have to think and come up with the system, and I could just plant myself in, follow along, be part of the community. And then it just started happening as you take one step forward and one step forward, and all of a sudden you're looking back, I used to be over there, and now I'm here.
Yeah, no, that's super powerful stuff. And it's so true. Oftentimes, guys that are trying to figure it out on their own, they're trying to reinvent the wheel with every passing slip. It's okay, let's create this routine that might work, might not. The stuff that is offered to us, it's based on research, it's based on experience, it's based on like a certified understanding of the ins and outs of porn and sex addiction. And it's sequential, it is comprehensive. Everything is in a specific order. Like you said, like it's all structured out for you. So the system will work as long as you work. So that's really good, man. So curious, out of the tools that had been introduced to you, are there one or two that maybe stick out? Which tool do you think you got the most out of?
Oh, that's a good question. Like the morning routine, for sure, was good. Yeah, just getting up, having a schedule. Like I would just get up and do my morning routine, and then right away that would set me in a positive place. Like, and I'd get work done, get my meditations in, and work with the modules and do a little bit of me work right away. That's one of the first things I do. And I found that to be a very powerful technique, because you're basically, I'd spend 20 minutes at least in the morning, like bettering myself. And then I can go do everything else for other people and kids and work. But knowing that I had that time in, that like every day I'm getting 20 minutes better. And at least, so I really like that. And then go into the community with questions. I really like that because I'm definitely a curious guy, and I had a lot of questions, and some of them were hard to ask because I didn't really know how to approach in the abstract. But yeah, there's a lot of good answers in there, a lot of good people who have gone through similar things and their experiences and where they maybe messed up and now what they know better now. That was the big thing. And one thing I did find, which was a little bit, I guess maybe it's just the clientele of where it's at, being married for so long, there's a lot of younger guys, and which is fantastic. That's where I wish I would have been. But I didn't find a big area of married guys who have been there, who are in different stages in their life, which is fine because a lot of us are all still struggling with the same things.
Yep.
But that part was a little bit, it'd be nice if more older guys were there or joining, because I know there's a lot of people struggling with this. Hopefully one day the 40-year-olds get in there too.
Yeah. No, I totally hear you, and I think that's totally valid. But you've mentioned the community a bunch of times, and I appreciate that. We've got guys, like you said, from all over, like different age ranges, different backgrounds, different countries, different continents. We got a bunch of people with all perhaps different reasons for being in the group, or different paths that led them to needing a program, but we all are here for a similar reason. So I'm curious, what's been your experience like with the community at large?
It's very supportive. You write in there a relapse, a slip, question, and even if somebody doesn't have an answer for you, they have support. It's hey man, I recognize that's tricky or difficult. Hoping the best for you. You know that people got your back. So that's really cool, and I like doing that too, like being part and reading people's stories and stuff, and offering things where I could, or just support where I could, or even just acknowledging. I think that was very, especially early on when you're just really vulnerable and figuring it out and trying to navigate all your emotions and modules and writing things down, and it's also new. That I found that to be incredibly helpful.
That's awesome.
Also, too, the people with, I think this is actually probably one of the biggest things, is the experts that you have. Like Dr. Eastman. I really resonated with Dr. Eastman and Dr. Rankin the most, but it's all good. But yeah, and the conversations that happen in those groups that's worth the money in itself. Like those are high level sessions with high level people, and yeah, they were amazing. I had some amazing breakthroughs with both of them, where it just
No, I love that. I love how you worded that. High level sessions with high level people. I think that's awesome. If you feel comfortable with sharing, what was maybe one of those major takeaways or breakthroughs?
Especially with Dr. Eastman, her work with trauma and Dr. Rankin too, but yeah, just with trauma and stuff, because me being a first responder, that was a big aspect. And so how she was able to explain things and put things into perspective, and even just some noticing some behaviors I have or triggers or self-soothing behaviors, that it just made things become more apparent, and I could like actually see when they're happening and maybe stop it, or at least be in a position to make a decision instead of just like going to the computer or just mindlessly. So yeah, that was absolutely huge to me. A big part of this was, and everybody's going to be different for sure, but was recognizing how trauma has affected me.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was probably one of the biggest takeaways for sure. And one of the biggest reasons why I've been, to choose words, like in recovery. It's been months now since any acting out. And yeah, like the idea is more disgusting than it is appealing. Which I never thought I never would have, because I've been dealing with this since I was 15.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been months. Yeah.
No, I hear you there. And that is such a good point, because like you said, it had been like a long time since you acted out, and just the thought of it just seems like, why would I want to do that? This is more than just the porn group, right? It's like once we do away with unhealthy behaviors and we're left with just us, and we're consciously and intentionally investing into different parts of our life, whether it be our biochemistry, whether it be our spiritual life, our financial life, our trauma if need be, right? We're so focused on building or rebuilding these bridges that the thought of acting out just becomes irrelevant. Like it becomes like a non-factor. Like, why would I want to waste time when there's so much more importance over on this side of my life? So that's so huge, and I'm sincerely like really happy that like you're coming to that realization. That's so great.
Yeah, and since then in this program I've started graduate school, and I've stopped drinking, and so it's just been like a huge life change.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was literally about to ask you, having learned what you've learned up until this point, coming from that pattern of acting out when you were like seeking out podcasts for assistance, joining the group, and then having experienced and learned all that you have, I'm curious as to what you might suggest or say to somebody that might still be struggling in behaviors that maybe you and I have.
Yeah, I can only really my advice would be, I think one of the biggest things that just allowed all the techniques to work was like really getting to the core of certain things and being able to let them go, and letting go of shame, like letting go of traumas, and letting go of these things that just kept me in this like acting out spiral. And once those, and that's going to be different ways for everybody. I had a way that really helped me. It's certainly not going to be for everybody, but really digging into that core level stuff and letting the techniques and the skills and community and letting that stuff work, because it's not filled up with shame and trauma. Like it's not, I don't have that shame trauma shell, and nothing can penetrate it. So now it's just changed everything. And I know it's very easy and it's not easy at all and very scary, because it's taken me years to figure out how I do that. But it's all these little pieces. If I would have done some trauma work and didn't have the skills, I don't know if I'd be in the same place. So it's not one thing, it's bits of everything. And it all works together. And at some point, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that this could be the path I could walk on, because it just presented itself
Yeah.
after doing all the work to get there.
Mm. So good. And I just want to circle back to something you said earlier when you were talking about where you were at before joining the group. You felt like this series of behaviors that had proven to be unhealthy for you was stealing the life that you wanted. And I think that's so palpable, and I think it's so relatable, because that's the thing about addiction, right? It's not a matter of not wanting to do away with this type of behavior. If we wanted to stop, we'd like to think that we would. But the huge thing about this group is that it provides us with a community, it provides us with accountability, it provides us with tools and techniques that have been proven to work. And you're introduced to so much because there's more than one level of addiction, there's more than one type of personality, there's more than one type of need. Like what I might want from my reboot might look different than you. But the cool thing about this group is that it's got certainly something for everybody. So with all that said, like, getting closer to the life you want seems to be closer within your grasp. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like, where something was a barrier before, now it's I'm working over these barriers and onto other challenges. Like, it's because this is something that I'm able to manage now. One thing that brought me to the point where I called in for the implementation of the group was I had a big fight with my wife. And I was like, okay, this can't continue on anymore. And having now some of the recognitions of everything that was going on in the past, and we spent the last year like really recovering, and now we have the relationship that we've always wanted, and it's so much more healthy and it's so much better. Marriage is always tricky, but it is 89% better than what it was. And yeah, so knowing that's more of the relationship that I want, like working on my master's is the career that I want. Having time to spend with the kids and not be worked up or frustrated, that's the kind of father I want to be. And now I am that, or I'm working to, I am that for sure, but it's a work in progress.
I do a lot of these calls, whether it just be checking in or just having a conversation with guys that are on their way out. And usually I have something like, goofy or intelligent to say, but I really don't. I really think what you said speaks for itself. Like, just straight up, I'm very, like, how does it feel to say all of that and mean it?
Yeah, it's, if you would have said that, I would have hoped that I could have done the work and been there, but I wouldn't have imagined how good it could be.
Wow.
When I started.
Wow.
Like, I didn't know that not everything is roses and whatnot, but
right.
But it is so much unbelievably better and calmer and just like more present and more patient. That is a huge one that surprised me, is like how much more patience I have. I'm still working on it. Don't talk to my kids; they'll tell you otherwise. But yeah, that's definitely a work in progress. But the patience more that I have now, because I'm not frustrated or activated all the time, is that's something I didn't even think of. And I think that was a huge barrier to my relationships with people.
Yeah.
Which was completely, I never would have known that in a million years.
Sure.
It was just how it was. But
yeah. And here you are, my man.
And even just, yeah. And having that and reducing like some of that like frustration and anger and anxiety has allowed me to go to places and not drink and be confident and actually have fun and like just be present and confident. And that was one of my biggest things when I decided to not drink was, am I still going to be fun? And yeah, it hasn't been a problem. I've enjoyed, I still had late nights with the guys and it's not a problem. I'm also surprised at that, how fun it can be just with good people.
100%. Yeah. That's so great to hear, Rory. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I suppose all I have left to really ask you is based on everything you've shared so far, again, for a guy that might still be in that place where they're kind of struggling in silence the way that you and I know all too well. I suppose the only thing I have left to ask is, would you recommend this program to a guy like that?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I guess I'd ask them, do you want the life? Do you think you could, oh no, I don't know how to say it really well, but you can have the life you want. You just got to put some work in. And it's there. The system works. The community is fantastic. The sessions we have are incredible. And I've heard these testimonials, like stuff,
Yeah,
hearing the testimonials of other people
right.
and being like, oh, you can do that. Amazing. I can't. I've never been able to. And now a year later, I'm that guy saying, I did it. I am doing it. It's real. I don't struggle with this. It's always, as a out of control behavior, as an addiction, it's always there. I'm not going to be overconfident and say I killed this thing. No. But like where it used to be a 80% issue in my life, it is now a 10% issue. It's there. There's a thing, like it's there. It's always going to be there, but managing it is I barely have to think about it now. It's just keep going with the stuff, like implementing it and just not even being less angry makes me want to soothe less, which makes me want to like view porn less. And that's just one aspect of the 25 I could name.
That's great, man. Rory, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate everything. This group gave me a new leash on life, and what more can I say? Like it's been fantastic. Yeah.
That is so encouraging to hear. Again, thank you so much, man.